Okay, so welcome everyone. We are your three favorite business minds, better known as the SuperGenius Masterminds. I am James, the Ascension Coach. I help people connect with higher states of consciousness, align with their higher self, and discover their soul's purpose. In the passenger seat beside me today is the wonderful Lisa, so I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Yeah, I've migrated north. My plan is to come to the US next year. So watch this space. It's been put out into the cosmos. So it's just going to happen, really. And I help people become limitless. I'm talking to the high achievers, the purpose-driven, the action takers, those maniacs on a mission who are doing all the stuff. But what happens is they keep hitting a wall. They keep plateauing. There's a limit that they actually can't break through. So I know the secret to breaking through, and that's what I teach. Anyways, down under.
I'm keeping everybody held up. I'm holding the whole thing up today.
Thank you.
So I'm Dr. Melissa Robinson Weinmiller, and I am the Empathy Queen. And what I do is I help leaders transform what they do through EQ via empathy for better productivity, profit, and innovation. And I have the stats to back it up. And I've been sick the last couple of days. So today I am like Kermit the Frog coming to you straight from down under in Kansas. Ah!
You know that a GIF or GIF, whatever they call it, I don't know, I call it a GIF, where there's just this Kermit thing going. Ah! Yeah, it's always saying
yeah.
I think I've actually sent that to you, Melissa, on occasion when we're celebrating things.
Yes.
I love we have a Tuesday from Australia.
Yes.
Wait, did I miss it? What'd you say from Australia? I missed that.
Oh, Ollie said good.
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
Gotcha. So today, ladies and gentlemen who are watching us, whether you're watching us live or watching us on replay, we are talking about why being unselfish may actually be hurting your business. And me and Melissa, we got this. No, me and Lisa, we got this wrong last week. So let me see if I'm going to get this right this week. Dr. Melissa, did you come up with this? Because I saw empathy in the description.
Yep, I did. Yep, this one's mine.
Okay, so I'm going to let you lead off and talk about unselfishness and selfishness and how that plays into our business.
Okay, absolutely. Well, a lot of the leaders that I've seen, people get this idea that because leaders don't display empathy or aren't able to tap into their EQ resources via empathy, which is what I teach, that they're selfish and they're mean and they're tyrannical and they're, Montgomery Burns and Scrooge and, all the horrible stereotypes that are out there. But from what I've actually learned and what I've seen, usually nothing could be farther from the truth. It's more that they are so busy trying to do everything they need to do and trying to do all the right things and trying to do it for the people that they just run out of bandwidth, that it just reaches a point that they lose so much touch with themselves that they are unable to be able to contact their own self-empathy, their own self-compassion, because these are generally pretty high achievers. If you think of the Maslow pyramid, they're the ones on the top that are really high self-actualizing. They really want to excel. But because of that, they're the ones that are driven. They're the ones that will give more. They're the ones that will push harder until they're not paying any attention to themselves at all. So by being unselfish and continually pushing and driving and excelling, they end up missing out on that empathy and that connection with themselves. Well, if you can't display empathy and compassion for yourself, how are you going to show it for anybody else? Which is why one of the primary things that I teach is self-reflection. being able to tap into that with yourself, to reflect in the moment, to reflect on what's going on, to reflect after the fact so that you can think back and maybe do better next time. So by being unselfish, they're actually losing innovation because they're missing this empathetic connection. They're missing profit because if they're unable to connect with their people tend to lose loyalty, they tend to lose productivity, they tend to feel unseen, unheard, uncared about, and then productivity goes down, and then so do profits. So by thinking of themselves first, they're actually able to raise everybody together, but they have to be able to take that step and be a little selfish.
Wow. So I know Lisa usually does this, and she's great at this. But now I'm having a Lisa moment. So I have a question because Lisa always asks questions. So how does that play into if maybe you feel like you're going to, and putting yourself first, that you're going to upset someone by putting yourself first? How do you handle that?
Well, I would first ask why. Why do you think that putting yourself first is going to upset somebody else? And what's the motivation there? Because if in putting yourself first, you're keeping yourself healthy and you're creating a healthier work ecosystem, then there's no reason why anybody should be upset with that, because we are talking about a business here. We are there to do business. I just happen to believe that the way to do business is by employing EQ via empathy, meaning that you can tap into your emotional intelligence skills through the active use of empathy. So if someone is saying, well, if you put yourself first, that means you're selfish and that you're not taking care of business, I would actually argue why. Why would you think that? And how can we discuss this? Assuming everybody's intentions are in the right place, which I tend to assume that, just because I think most people's intentions are in the right place. A lot of things come about out of either misunderstanding or just kind of general cluelessness, because we're human beings and we all have blinders and biases. That's what happens, But yeah, if someone actually were to say that, I would want to go into a deeper conversation and understand why they were asking the question in the first place. Yeah. It's the same idea of charity starts at home, right? If you want to be able to take care of yourself first and then take care of your family, then you can take care of the people on the outside. Then you can take care of the next ring of your church. Then you can take care of the next ring of your community. But if you haven't taken care of yourself and taken care of your family, you've got nothing left to take care of anybody else with. Right.
Yeah. Melissa, I'd like to chime in on the question that James asked. The first thing that came into my head was the person who was asking that question is actually most likely a fault finder, and that they're looking at that leader as though they're ego driven if they're looking after themselves and they appear to be that way. But people can really get confidence confused with ego. Yes. And I believe somebody who is self-empowered, somebody who knows their power, knows how to look after themselves, but is a servant leader, has this incredible air of confidence because they know who they are and what their mission is. Yes. And how to look after the village.
Yeah. There's a huge difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah. You know what, Dr. Melissa and Lisa, when I think about this whole thing, because I had to go through that journey to get here, right? And I know for me, the root of it was, and I always tell people, those memories that you can recall so clearly are usually where your source of challenge or problem is. But just in general, I was raised to do for others before you do for yourself. Like if there was someone, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just half the picture, right? So if there was a lady who was carrying her groceries and like she was struggling, my mother wouldn't even say anything. She was just looking at us. We knew we were supposed to go help that person, right? And then, but when you carry that growing up, like even when I entered into ministry, I'm at people's funerals, weddings, hospital visits, taking time to have one-on-one conversations, and like the idea of being compensated for it, that came later, but truly the idea of being compensated for it wasn't an idea. Like it wasn't an idea. It was just like, this is who you are. This is what you do. And so now entering into entrepreneurship, that was my initial mindset, that how do I break this programming? Because I give. But yeah, I'm not being, I'm not feeding myself. If I'm doing that, I'm depleting myself. And I know for me, it had to become a thing of worthiness, even had to bring in some religion in there. Wait, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, meaning yourself comes first. How you love you now becomes how you love your neighbor. So it's probably about 5 or 6 years ago where that shift really happens for me. But there are some people who are entering into entrepreneurship and entering into business with that mindset and are suffering because of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and the other side of that too, when you're talking about, love others as you love yourself, if we're thinking of an organizational structure and you have that person at the top that's setting that example, culture drips down from the top. If you're working within this organization and people know you first need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others, and this disseminates through the company.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that such a bad thing? Because you're showing by example, look, you can do both. You just have to do this one first.
Yeah. And I think it's a thing too, and I asked that question because what I noticed among people is they are somewhat afraid to rock the boat. And even if you are doing self-care and they have an expectation that Lisa's always there for me when I need her, or James is always there when I need him, or Melissa's always there when I need them. But wait, what do you mean you're taking a couple of days? Like, I need you. Like, even then, if you're in mind, if you're an ego, that guilt starts to creep in, and now you're wrestling with that. And now you're wrestling with, well, will they be there when I'm done, or when I finish my self-care time or whatever? And now you're kind of sliding down a slippery slope, wondering how people feel about you putting you first, when really the ideal thing is to put yourself first.
Yeah, and not for selfish reasons. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I know you guys have heard me say this like 807 million times, but I might as well say it again anyway, because why not do what people expect? When you talk about empathy and EQ, immediately people think that it's something that's soft, like unicorns and fairies and Care Bears and cotton candy and clouds, and that's wonderful and all of that. But when you're actually really using empathy as an actionable skill to tap into EQ, you have to be willing to set boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not a soft, fluffy thing. It's an actionable skill, which means being able to say, no, I have to set this boundary because I'm on empty. And if I don't fill this up, I'm not going to have the empathy to tap into my EQ. And then everybody's going to suffer.
Right. So, everybody suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing everybody a favor, really.
Absolutely. And more people, and I love this conversation because more people need to kind of adopt that perspective. I know for me, like I said, it was probably 5-6 years ago where I started to adopt more of I have to take care of James. I have to look after James. So whether that's taking a year off like I did last year, I'll give this story, even when it related to my parents. As I was coming into my own as a spiritual awakening being and really tapping into my identity, I knew that my parents still saw the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old. At least that's how they responded to me. So I took a year off from my parents. We only communicated through Facebook Messenger because I wanted to, when I showed up around them, to be James, to be authentic James. You get the same thing everybody else gets. There's no, let me come low and little. Right, exactly. Now, a great example of having made progress in that is sometimes I use colorful language. And I remember I had a post. Yes, I had a post. I probably haven't used it much here, but I had a post where I had some F words in there and it wasn't an angry post. It was just how I was expressing myself. And so my mother, I love my mother. My mother was like, "Do you have to use such language on my post?" She said this. And this is when I knew I had crossed that bridge. I was like, "Well, Mom, maybe you don't need to be on my post. Or maybe you need to find one that suits you." Where before I've been like, "Okay, yes, ma'am," et cetera, et cetera. So it is, I think even going into that, taking that position, Dr. Melissa and Lisa, is also about owning who you are and owning your worth and ultimately owning your power, regardless of who, family, friends, etc.
Yeah,
absolutely. I want to go check out that post where you're saying colorful words, James. I just imagine butter wouldn't melt in your mouth. Oh, that's hilarious.
That is funny. And what's even more funny is that people on my posts started coming to my, like, not that I needed defense, but they started coming to my defense saying, "Well, ma'am, sometimes you have to use words like that to get people's attention." Like, I think 3 or 4 people, and my mother ultimately went, "Well, yeah, maybe I just don't understand this generation." So So as she moved on.
It's like, well, he did move out of home a couple of decades ago.
And he is a grown man now, that part also. So, yeah.
Oh, so sweet. Great story, though. Perfect example of finding yourself.
Finding yourself and putting you first,
Yeah. Miss and sir, is it my time to speak now?
Yes.
We've been waiting for it. We always say the best for last.
Gosh, thank you. But it's an even deal here, guys. It's a very even playing field. We are incredibly gifted in our craft, incredibly gifted. And I must say, James, I meant to say this probably about 9 episodes ago, is that I just love the fact that you have gone from ministry into woo. Like this just is the perfect example of somebody just kicking status quo in the face. And saying, you've really got to be who you are to be both selfless and selfish. And I'm going to sort of talk on that perspective for a bit. But what I can remember, Melissa, by the way, I absolutely loved all of the input that you had about this, because this is that not only applies to the corporate arena, but it's very much in entrepreneurship as well. And because I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years now, and boy, have times changed. The world is spinning so fast. But I can remember, because I grew up in survival, literally for my life. And I was incredibly selfish. I was angry. I was rude about it. It was just like, well, if it's up to me, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I had no nurturing. James, I divorced my parents 35 years ago, literally. Had no contact with them since, not even on Facebook Messenger. So I had to take a stance for survival, and I was incredibly selfish, and that served me very well. I thought James was frozen there for a moment, because when I was, there he is.
Yeah.
When I was speaking about him, he's still had this stone face going on.
Yeah.
Hey, James, you came and went.
Keep me on your toes, but go ahead.
And I've been pretty much the queen of selfishness all of my life, but there was a shift, like James is saying, there was a shift 5 or 6 years ago. Mine probably came about 10, 12 or so years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and it was a very distinct moment. But what I do know is from an entrepreneur aspect, people are hemorrhaging their self. Who's born to be an entrepreneur? Not many people. But the dream of being free is what has moved many people since 2020 into that space. And because of that programming, James, because it's do for others, carry their bags, open their doors, and we have all this programming that we've got to serve everybody else and look after everybody else before we look after ourselves. That also comes with the money mindset and the worth kind of thing. And there's a very big difference between charity and self-sacrifice, like massive difference. And I've taken a few notes, but because I love doing like a 5-second research before I come onto the show, because I love quotes. I'm driven. If anyone reads my weekly emails and my blogs, there's always quotes on there, and this week's blog is actually about my morning success rituals, which I have had in place religiously, excuse me using that word, but it is a ritual, for 20 years. And I was taught a specific way by my mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn. And I've not done this for 20 years now. And so in my blog, lisamarie.com/blog, just give you a little shout out for that one. I Googled the difference between selfishness and selflessness, because I've been following the philosophy of Buddhism since I was about 14, because I was introduced to metaphysics then through a Kung Fu club and Master Lee, Melissa.
Excellent.
And this is hilarious. This is called The Skeptic's Path to Enlightenment. It was a blog. And it was the blog was written by Scott Snib in 2020, and it was a quote from His Holiness Dalai Lama out of a book called The Way to Freedom. And the Dalai Lama gave instructions on how to be selfish. He said, if you would like to be selfish, you should do it in a very intelligent way. The stupid way to be selfish is seeking happiness for ourselves alone. The intelligent way to be selfish is to work for the welfare of others. And I thought that was so beautiful. And in Buddhism, the principle of selfish versus selfless, it actually has two benefits. And what is truly good for me is also good for others. And I just thought that sort of explains it so beautifully, that if we nurture ourselves, then we are so full to be able to serve and give others. I would pay the healer says Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama.
Get out your checkbook, Mike. You better start Venmoing her that money, man.
That's it. I want to part of that too. Go ahead.
That's hilarious. I don't know how else to say it. So how do you say it in the Northern Hemisphere, guys?
You said it perfectly, Lisa. You said it. You said it.
Obviously, the people with camo hats say it very differently. Another person who, so I was very, and when I was in this survival mode, which was up until about 45, I'm now 55. It took a while to get it, to let all that crap go. And by the way, it still comes out. So it's a never-ending journey. And I'm a student of life, and will keep on this journey until, because I can serve people the best. I say it perfectly. Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama. When are you sending my check? I've got a memory like an elephant too. Okay. So yes, and I couldn't grasp, because the Buddhist philosophy was saying that we had to be selfless, and I thought, God, I'm trying to survive here. I've got nothing left. I'm literally walking as an empty vessel, because I'm so angry, in so much pain, striving for freedom, and just pushing myself beyond limits, and always running on empty. How can I give to other people? And because I was not nurtured at all, I didn't understand how to nurture other people. It's a learned experience. It's a behavior. And so through my years of high-level personal development, I was always seeking extraordinary people, and Oprah was one of those people that I believe is, she's one of those ancients. I believe James from last week's conversation is walking on the planet to deliver how we can actually rise up, and so she's always talking about how selfish that she is, and there was. I've got some beautiful quotes, just a couple of beautiful quotes, if I can share those from her. I was once afraid of people saying, "Who does she think she is?" Now I have the courage to say, "This is who I am."
Yeah.
And we all think we need to focus on everyone else, or we're being selfish. But actually, the least selfish thing you can do is focus on yourself. Notice the word self is always in this: yourself, selfish, selfless, ourselves. There's a reason for that. And I truly believe that self is oneness. I know we are all connected across the galaxy by energy. And that's where, I'm going to say I can prove that, because I'm a scientist, and I am. And so, but from the spiritual perspective, that energy it's a beautiful network of interconnection through every single person. So I am you, you are me, and that is that. Deepak Chopra. And so when you understand that we are all one, I'm definitely going to look after me, because I want to look after you, because I love everybody, no matter how angry or dysfunctional they are. They're just trapped in their own stuff. And finally, there is Oprah, a woman who's proud to say she's full of herself. She says that being full of herself means she's allowed herself to receive respect. She's allowed herself to step into her own power. And I just think that is so beautiful.
Yeah. I'm gonna go woo for a little bit deeper woo for a moment, but I love it, Lisa, kind of set this up for me. What I teach my people, and my mentee ran off with this, like this opened up her whole world. is I talk about how everyone, and this is a Neville thing as well, how everyone is you pushed out, right? So everyone that's in our immediate reality is reflecting back some aspect. And where I'm going with this is how you treat you and how you see you is how your reflections will see you. So if you love yourself, you will have people who will show up in your reality who love you in the same way that you love you. But if you minimize yourself, play small, that's what's going to be reflected to you by the people in your reality, because they're just reflecting you back to you. My point I'm going with this is when you take care of you first, you're going to have people who show up, they're going to want to take care of you too, because they are just reflections. This whole thing is just a mirror. And so that puts the emphasis even more on, I gotta take care of me, I gotta love me, I gotta put me first. And I look at, like, I know Lisa knows this, because this version of Lisa is no doubt someone who has stepped into that. And Dr. Melissa has shared her story of when she was just kind of not showing up fully, and what you were wrestling with that, and now how you're showing up, and now how we're looking at you. It all started with you. It wasn't us. We're just reflecting how you're showing up. Same with Lisa, same with myself. People think what they think about us because of how we have chosen to see ourselves and then subsequently show up. So it all starts with us. It all starts with you anyway, regardless, period. So even worrying about how someone sees you, or maybe how someone may be offended, like, that doesn't even show up on the radar to any great degree if you are just focused on loving me. And here's what I learned through that process is when you start loving you, taking care of you, and forgiving you, and being generous with you, and understanding of yourself, that's what you project onto other people. You start giving them room to make mistakes. You start giving them room to have a good day or a bad day or whatever. And so it all just becomes this whole love fest that all starts with you. It really does. It's a love fest that begins with you and gets projected out.
It is, and that is just so true, James. And I want to actually give a personal example on that. Is when I was grinding, I was just walking in cement shoes every day. I was hustling and had to make this business work, and literally hemorrhaging myself. When the shift happened, it was with ease and flow. Things that the mind movies that I play, the manifesting that I was visioning, it started to show up really quickly and with ease. Collaboration partners, my business growing, people offering me money. It was just like, hello. Geez, I'm a slow learner.
We all are.
But it came back to just that massive shift from living in angry desire. It shifted to inspired desire, but living in the selfish mode of I've got to look after me. Me became we. And when it became we, that was the massive oneness shift and abundance. Literally, bang! Whoa! It was mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's the secret. That's definitely the secret. Dr. Melissa, I feel like it's been me and Lisa for a minute here. We don't want to.
Well, no, I mean, because Lisa had those beautiful quotes and we were just kind of riffing on those. So absolutely. But one thing that I am hearing that I appreciate very much is that when you start with the self, you have control. You have a choice, and you can make this choice at any moment. You can decide now. And by making that choice and keeping that within your control, when you're constantly doing for everybody else all the time, you're letting yourself out of your control. And not that you want to control with a heavy hand. I mean, that's not what I'm suggesting. But on the other hand, I don't really care to give that up to anybody else either. But if I'm the one making that choice and I'm the one that's deciding, I can make that choice every single day at the snap of a finger. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It really
Not
is.
the power away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, Lisa. That's it. That's it, Dr. Melissa. Especially when, everybody's just reflecting and responding to you. It's like putting your power in your creation when you're the creator. Like, wait, that's just a reflection. That's just a mirror reflection of me. Why am I putting more power in the mirror than I am in the one that's standing in front of the mirror?
Exactly.
So, yeah. This is
and
a
I
good
think
conversation.
everyone's doing the best they can as well with where they're at.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we just need to hold on to our power and love it and respect it.
Yeah.
By reflecting out the best that we have and keeping that power within, ourselves, we're doing better for everybody else too. So once again, we've gone from selfish to selfless without doing a thing.
Absolutely. I love that. You brought that out beautifully. I love that. Absolutely. I was talking with somebody today, and I was, just reiterating Lisa's point. I was like, everyone is where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing, on the way to where they're supposed to be. And we may not all arrive at the same place at the same time, but we will always arrive at the same place. Whether I told them whether it's this lifetime, whether it's another lifetime, whatever, but we're all on this journey to reach the same destination, and we all will arrive there. So I did a post recently. I said, whether you believe that God is in heaven, whether you believe you are God, whether you have some other belief, whatever, all of us are important to get everyone to where we're supposed to be, period. So there's no one that can say, well, I'm better because I'm here, or you're less because you're there. We are all playing our part for the collective, for the global transformation to happen, to get where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. For sure. There was one more thing I forgot to read out. It's just very short, because as I was doing my Qigong this morning, did I say that correctly, Mike?
You're not living
Dalai
this
Lama,
right?
Dalai Lama. When you send my check. So funny. I do the 8 brocades in the morning, and the 4th brocade is it's a flow movement, and I think if you want to sort of understand what Qigong is, it's like the Taoist version of yoga, but with a mix of Tai Chi in there and deep breathing, and moving energy balls around. Nice. So in the 4th movement, it talks about, because you're actually looking back side to side doing a particular movement, and the head in Taoism is believed to be the abode of the inner gods, and this particular movement helps keep the pathways as clear as can be. And when we have the clear pathways, it means that we have a more openness to receiving our intuition. And I think another part of being selfish is to have still time with yourself every day, to listen to those inner whispers of where you're being guided.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good, Lisa. That's really good. That's really good. Because obviously to be the self, you got to connect with the self. You got to spend time with the self. And what better way than in quietness and stillness and contemplation, all that good stuff. That's good. That's good. So
even though it's morning here, I still get up early to do my morning rituals because that is my selfish time. So I can show up as my best self every single day for everybody and myself.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. It's so important. Good stuff.
And as a musician, we used to say that without the silence, there is no music. The music has to exist in something.
In space, yes.
So
That's exactly right.
You have to have the silence to have the music.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful. I just got
Isn't it? Yeah.
Now, you need to promote yourself, Melissa. This is your opportunity.
Excellent. I have a book coming out. I wrote a book. I can write. I can even put whole sentences together into chapters and make a book. And it is coming out in September. And I am so excited because had you asked me in January if I could do this, I don't know that I would have said yes. But yet here it is because I'm surrounded by awesome people like Lisa and James and the Hounds and Ollie, who I've seen in the comments, and Tanya and Jackie and all these amazing supportive people. So it's coming out in September. It is called The Empathic Leader, How EQ via Empathy Transforms Leadership for Better Profit. I got to get this in the right order. Profit, productivity, and innovation. So pre-sale is up. There goes the link right now. So if you order it now, there will be a discount and I will autograph the copy. Or you can wait till it comes out in September and order off of Amazon, which is fine too. I don't care how you buy it. Please just buy my book.
Support.
Yes.
Good stuff.
I'm so grateful to everybody. It just, talk about being selfish, but yet, everything goes outwards. It's just been amazing, the outpouring of support. So I'm so grateful to everybody. Thank you.
That's because you're so freaking amazing, Dr. Melissa. It is what it is. It is what it is. I have a question though. While you were kind of in the background before you fully kind of came out, were you working on that book, or did it happen did all this kind of happen at one time?
Yeah.
Really?
To write a book is something I've always wanted to do. But as far as this and everything that's happened around this, it all happened at the same time. It really was like a nuclear explosion. It's really cool.
What a great example. What a great example for everyone who's watching this. Just what takes place when you start owning who you are, start owning your power. Like, things can really happen like that. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love all of that. All right, so any closing words before we close out, ladies?
No, it's time to go, isn't it, James?
All of you, like a gong or something.
Yeah, right. It's funny. There we go. I was just about to say that we apologize for all of you who were looking for Lisa to have a prop today, but at the very end,
Saved by the bell.
We came through at the end for all of you. So as always, we're so appreciative of everyone who hops on, whether live or replay. Always appreciate the support. I don't have what we're talking about next week, but I do know we've already decided on what we're talking about next week. And we just look forward to seeing you all. So having said that, we love you all. We appreciate you all. And we will see you all soon.
And Mike, I'll send you a private message with my address for that $1,000 check. Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama.
Is it $1,000 each time you say it? Because you should keep saying it if it is.
I'm going.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it as a voice clip on his DM.
Excellent.
There you go. All right, Mike, get your pennies together because it's coming.